It is said that the mind is the most powerful thing in the world. You can pursue something wholeheartedly. You can achieve it. This is not my saying, but the words of great men. However, if this is true, why don't we always get what we want by simply desiring it? No one wants to have sorrow in the mind, but they still feel unhappy. Every person wants to be successful in their mind, earn a lot of money, but they still don't succeed. In such a world, who would wish in their mind, I want to remain unsuccessful or I don't want to earn money? In this case, two possibilities arise. Either those great men were wrong when they said that we can obtain what we desire with our minds, or we are mistaken. Today, I will tell you a story that will give you a mantra, and after understanding it, you will learn how anything can be achieved through the power of your mind. How is the seed of any thought imparted in your mind? You will understand this well from the story, and it will also help you understand how the law of attraction works. The story is short but very profound. Before you get lost in the story, be sure to subscribe to this channel. So let's start the story. Once upon a time, there was a man who had nothing but sorrow in his life. Whatever he tried to do, he couldn't complete the task successfully. He would bring trouble upon himself whenever he entered his home. When he asked for help, no one would give a hand. It seemed like a mountain of sorrow surrounded him from all sides. He couldn't understand how to overcome these sorrows. He kept thinking day and night about how to get rid of his sorrows. Because of this, he couldn't even sleep at night. Large dark circles formed under his eyes, indicating how unhappy and worried he was. He became so miserable that he decided he would find a way to get rid of these sorrows. No matter how much effort or sacrifice it took, he was willing to walk on fire if it meant finding relief from his sorrows. One day, he asked his friend, "How can I improve my life?" His friend told him to visit a spiritual priest. The priest has a mantra that can eliminate all sorrows, fill life with happiness, and bring wealth and prosperity. Find such a priest and everything will work out for you. This idea firmly took root in his mind, believing that only a priest would remove his sorrows. So, whenever he heard about any priest, he would rush to meet them. He would explain his problem to the priest and seek their guidance for a solution. And he says, "Priest, I am ready to do anything, but please free me from these problems. I will do whatever you say, but improve my life." Priest used to tell him some magic to perform, and in return, he would take donations from him, stating that after performing these magic, peace and happiness would prevail in his home. So, the men started performing these magic with complete devotion. However, even after performing many magic, there was no change in his life. On the contrary, his life became even more miserable. Whatever priest gave him as magic, he would take donations from him, which gradually reduced his wealth. This led to more suffering in his life. Then he realized that instead of reducing his suffering, going to the priest was only increasing it. So, what should I do? Should I go to the priest or not? Then one day, a man told him that he should invite a priest to his house and perform a holy fire ritual called Havan. The Havan would cleanse the house, removing any negative energy. If there were any negative energies in his house, they would leave. The men should invite a priest to recite mantras and perform the Havan with proper rituals, which would bring peace and happiness to the house. The men agreed with this idea and invited a priest to his house to perform the Havan. The Havan was conducted successfully. In return, The priest also accepted a generous donation, and after that he left. However, after a few days, the man realized that there was still no change in his life. Now, he felt completely unhappy and even more troubled. He started to believe that his suffering would never end in his life, and this thought made his situation worse. Then one day, he learned about a priest from his friend who didn't take any donations in exchange for providing solutions. The man thought that the priest couldn't be like other priests because he didn't ask for any donations. If he didn't ask for donations, then he would be a truly enlightened priest. With this thought in his mind, the men went to see that priest. When the men arrived there, the priest was sitting in deep meditation. Seeing this, the men quietly sat there, waiting for the priest to come out of his meditation. After a while, the priest opened his eyes. In front of him, the priest saw a sad and troubled young man. Just by looking at the dark circles under his eyes, the priest understood how troubled the man was in his life. Addressing him, the priest asked, "Child, what do you want? Why you have come to me? What do you want take from me?" The man said, "Priest, I am very troubled in my life. I have tried many ways to get rid of these sorrows. I have tried every technique suggested by different priests, and I have done every task that anyone has asked me to do. But no shortage of sorrows came in my life. On the contrary, my sorrow increased. I don't understand what to do. Priest, please show me a way to get rid of my sorrow. I am ready to do anything to free myself from my sorrow. Please tell me any path, no matter how difficult it may be. I will overcome it." Priest felt that the man was truly troubled. After hearing him, priest said, "Child, mantras alone cannot remove sorrows. You must do something to obtain the mantras. You can do something." Hearing this, the man first thought the priest would also ask for donations from him. But not finding any other way, the man said, "Priest, I am ready to give you whatever donation you want, but your mantra must be true. It must be fulfilled, and I must receive its fruit. After that, I will give you any donation you want." Priest said, "Donation is a very small thing. I don't want it." On this, the man thought and said, "Priest, I am ready to walk on fire as well. Just give me the command." Priest said, "I will not make you do the small things of walking on fire. What I will make you do is a very difficult mantra, and you will be able to fulfill it." The man asked priest, "Priest, please tell me what I have to do. I am ready to do anything." Priest replied, "When you go home from here, keep repeating this in your mind on the way. I am happy. I am happy. I am happy." Repeat it in your mind over and over again. But remember not to say it loud. It should only be repeated in your mind. Hearing this, the man said, "Priest, this is such a small thing. I can do it in a clap. But what will happen by doing this?" Priest said, "Try doing this mantra and see. Anyway, since you have spoken so many mantras of priest, trying speaking this mantra as well." The man thought the priest is not asking for any donation and it's just a small mantra, so he can definitely do it. He said, "All right, priest, I will definitely recite this mantra." Saying this, the man got up and started walking away. But as he started walking, priest called out from behind, "Child, remember one thing. When you repeat this mantra in your mind, you should not have thoughts of apes coming into your mind. Don't let thoughts of apes come into your mind for this mantra to be successful." The man said, "I have never had any thoughts of apes so far." So why would they come now? Don't worry, priest. I will just repeat in my mind that I am happy, I am happy. Besides that, no thoughts will enter my mind. Saying this, the man left from there. He was repeating in his mind, I am happy, I am happy. And he had only gone a short distance when suddenly the thoughts of apes came into his mind. The thought of apes came and went, but the man thought, why did I suddenly have thoughts of apes today? I have never had any apes thoughts before, and by thinking this way, he grabbed onto the thoughts of apes, forgetting what mantra he was supposed to repeat, and he started thinking about apes. After a while, when he regained his sense, he started repeating this mantra again. The one priest had told him, I am happy, I am happy. But suddenly, he saw a apes in front of him, and upon seeing it, he thought of apes re-suffered in his mind. He wanted to throw that thought out from within himself. He wanted to ensure that no thoughts of apes entered his mind in any way. But he was confronted by an ape right in front of him. During his struggle, he reached home, and upon reaching home, he told his wife to serve him ape's meat for dinner, without realizing what he was just said. Then he started pulling his hair and banging his head against the walls, thinking that he had never had any thoughts of apes before, and now he was seeing apes everywhere. He wondered what kind of illusion this was. Lost in his thoughts, the man couldn't sleep all night. He kept tossing and turning. And he woke up in the morning and went straight to priest and fell at his feet, saying, Priest, I don't know what miracle are happening. I have never had any thoughts of apes before, but since you told me not to have thoughts of apes, I am seeing apes everywhere, priest. I even see an ape sitting on a tree behind you eating bananas. What is happening, priest? Upon hearing these, priest started laughing. Child, the trap of the mind is such a trap that is understanding it is not so easy. Apes used to come in your path before too. When you came to me, these apes were roaming around these trees, but at that time, you were not paying attention to these apes. At that time, your attention was only on your sorrow. Then, priest explained to him that, Child, we want to run away from anything that bothers us. That things enter deep into our minds. It assimilates within our inner self. We want to get rid of precisely because it was deeply connected to us. And the more it assimilates within our inner self, we want to get rid of anything that bothers us. We want to get rid of precisely because it is deeply connected to us. And the more we try to get rid of it, the deeper it settles within our mind. And ultimately, it takes over our inner self. From the outside, we say we want to be happy, not just repeat, I am happy, I am happy. Even our lips keep saying the same thing, but the sorrow exists in our mind, in our thoughts, in our minds we see nothing but sorrow. That's why repeatedly saying, I am happy with our words won't make us happy until this mantra enters our inner self. Upon hearing this, the man asked, But priest, how does this mantra enter our inner self? Priest replied, Child, stop fighting against your sorrow. As long as you keep thinking about getting rid of your sorrow, they will stick to you. They will keep their secret embedded within your inner self. As long as you continue to think about their sorrow, you won't be able to free yourself from them. From that day onwards, sorrow will disappear from your life because you get rid of something. We must think about it, and the more we think about it, the deeper it settles within our minds. Most of the time, we think about our sorrow. We think that our lives are filled with sorrow and we need to get rid of it. Due to this constant thinking, the sorrow enters our inner self and it becomes deeply embedded within us. That's why if you want to be free from sorrow, stop thinking about them. You will find relief from sorrow. That's why if you want to be free from sorrow, stop thinking about them. You will find relief from sorrow. Why it is that what we think doesn't always come true. In reality, we are giving too much attention to that thing. We are assigning it too much importance. Whenever you think about giving up that thing, we increase its importance and significance. The more our mind stays on that thing, like quitting alcohol or smoking, the more our mind runs after it. We don't need to fight against it. Instead, we need to let it pass without thinking. And if you understand this mantra, you will place whatever we desire in our inner mind. And once that goal settles within our inner self, there won't be any obstacles or difficulties in achieving success. So friends, how did you like this story? Let me know in the comment section, and if you like it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. See you in the next story. Take care until then. Stay blessed. Thank you so much.